Hi, I'm Chris Hanley, and welcome to another episode of Coffeemachine, where we're going over some more general, relaxed information about Warmachine. So, be it battle reports, events, stuff to do with just what's coming out, that type of thing. So, let's go back to Lock and Load. You may have seen that episode, which I'm going to put here. Bing. Right, okay. So, I went over what was going on at Lock and Loads, that tournaments, playtest, seminars, narrative gaming, new releases such as the Fate of Nero. I'm gonna do a faction episode on them, which I will have coming out as a short here and on like TikTok. But there was another thing at Lock and Load that I thought was really interesting, and that was a company called Playseer. Now, Playseer have been developing for the last few years a augmented reality way of playing war games. Now, it's still relatively early in its life cycle, so we're looking at the ability to play with an alpha build of this. Now, you may be thinking, oh, do I really want digital technology replacing my wargaming experience? And this is where the difference is. This is where this experience is different to other digital experiences of wargaming. So obviously, if you're a digital wargaming kind of person who's played Warmachine on War Table, or you may have played other games like Warhammer 40,000 and so forth via something like Tabletop Simulator, as much as they do allow you to play war games, they're quite clunky experience, because rather than moving miniatures on the board with your hands, you're having to do a lot of clicking, measuring distances, all via the usage of a mouse and a keyboard. Then there's also sharing information with your opponent. So there's many added layers between you and your opponent and the game space to create this game experience that ideally you want as normal as you would do, where you just come up to the table, there's the terrain, put your miniatures down, start playing, moving them, rolling dice, moving them, rolling dice, your opponent doing the same, back and forth, back and forth. So what does Playseer do? Well, the first thing is your miniatures are involved in the game. You mean what? How? So rather than being a virtual environment or a simulated environment, this is a mixed reality, augmented reality experience. So using current cutting edge tech would be the MetaQuest 3. That has cameras at the front that can see the play space in front of you. So you will have a 4x4 table in front of you. You will have your own miniatures for your army in front of you. You will have your own dice in front of you. Okay? Now, the cameras on the front of the MetaQuest can recognize all of that, can recognize which models you're using, and then it virtualizes them. So what that means is really that your opponent somewhere else in the world is sat doing the same. They've got their miniatures, their dice, their 4x4 table, and the system allows you to see a virtual representation of their models and their dice, and vice versa. So you are being connected in this virtual space that is then overlaid on top of each other's physical space. So as normal, you would move your miniatures on the board, and they would move their miniatures on the board, and you would see it through the VR headset. Well, say VR, AR headset, and vice versa. The cool thing is that the system we've got to these days with, pattern recognition provided by AI tools is they can recognize the models, recognize the facing of the models, and show that to your opponent. Of course, the virtual versions they will see have a paint scheme which is from the virtual models they have to represent those. So they won't see your paint scheme yet. That could be something that could be addressed at a later time. The dice, when you roll them, again, the headset can recognize the results on those dice and display them. And the big dream that they said they have is that you will be able to maybe use cardboard mock-ups, cardboard mock-ups of terrain, put them on the board. The virtual system overlays the truth of what that terrain is. Your opponent will have done the same, making sure your bits of terrain are in the same place. They see the exact same thing. You can get down into the board, you can look round at all angles. It still works the same as you would interact with the game as normal. So that means there are no added extra steps to how you interact with the game. It's still the same, just with this kind of holographic view of the miniatures in front of you of your opponent. Now, longer term, what they want to do is add in an interaction with the Warmachine app. That would then allow you to, say, tap a model, bring up its stats in game, record hit points as they're being allocated in game, things like that. So you can interact with the game rules in a heads-up display way with a very natural, hand-driven experience. So you're not having to use the clicker thing. Like, obviously that's useful if you want to added accuracy. And of course the other thing is that as the next generation of headsets come out, their cameras are now going to be so high resolution they'll be able to measure distances between minis for you. So you're going to have that absolute level of accuracy. So that's really good. So what more could this offer? So this is right now allowing people that can't play together in the same space to be able to play against each other via this virtual overlay. Well, the next step that this brings in is other things that you can't do with a war game normally, that you would need some sort of other system to help manage. So again, not complicated the game as in adding layers of UI experience that will slow the play experience and make it not feel as natural as it would at the tabletop. But we're talking about things like fog of war. So you won't be able to see enemies until they get into range. Maybe you'll have changing environmental effects that impact the game. Perhaps there are other things like that. The other thing that this also brings up in talk with Travis, who works for Steam for Watch Games as a tournament organizer. You may know Travis well from also his work on Iron Kingdoms RPG. We were chatting about this, and actually it also brings up an interesting element for if you've got both players are in the same space, you could have, as long as it's all scanned in, you could have the tournament organizer walking around the table and they can see the table at all angles with a VR headset and it's all scanned in. That means people can view in a very e-sport manner the same table at all angles because it will have been logged in, and for playback purposes you can experience the game played back in your headset and you can stop the game and have a look at different angles. So there is a mounting there's definitely a mountain of other ideas that can build off that can be bolted on thanks to the AR experience. That doesn't replace the core game experience, but adds added value. So that's very exciting. So again, thank you to the guys at Playseer. So let me just check who we've got at Playseer. We have currently, who did we see there? We had Lee and Michael. So thank you. I've got maybe one image, I think, maybe two, that I can show you what that experience looked like. Hopefully they'll go to me some kind of videos of the experience and other images to really just sell how this whole thing works. But it is really interesting and kind of exciting, and something that we've not seen in the wargaming space before, when we've tried to enmesh technology with a tabletop gaming experience, and often those things just do not work because one thing is trying to replace the other, whereas this is about trying to augment and supplement the experience. So you're not, you're not losing your miniatures per se, and it's not adding layers to how you interact with the game. It's still the game as you know, it's still rolling dice as you know, it's still measuring distances as you know, but it's opening up new ways of playing against opponents that are not in your local vicinity in a way that's more natural than playing on War Table and the like. So if you enjoyed this video, by all means, contact us, darkerdaysradio@gmail.com. You can come over to www.darker-days.org. Obviously, leave some comments in the YouTube. And, of course, come over to our Discord to ask any questions for me about this or anything else we've been talking about. So that's all for now, and goodbye.